Welcome to the Breaking the Mold podcast. My name is Julia. I'm here with Matt and Logan of Mighty Media.
YOLO!
Hey guys.
Today we have special guest Eric Hope from Quality Electric. What's up, Eric?
What's going on,
Hey,
guys?
what's
Thanks
up,
for having
dude?
me.
Yeah, round of applause. Wow.
Yeah,
What an honor.
The audience
What
showed
an
up
honor.
today.
Truly an honor. Can you tell us a little bit about you and Quality Electric?
Everything. We want to know
All of it.
Everything.
All
Yeah,
right.
your
I don't know if
deepest,
we have
darkest
enough time.
secrets. Let's go.
So I'm an electrician, and that's pretty much it.
Wow.
No.
Done and done. That's
Well,
awesome.
stop the tape.
Yeah. So so we're from Quality Electric's the company. We've been around since 2018. We specialize in residential service and generator installs. So dealing directly with homeowners is what we do.
Awesome stuff. Great. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. dude.
Yeah, I
appreciate
think
it. That was
that
awesome.
wraps
dude.
it
Yeah.
up.
So you were nervous about nothing.
Can you tell us a little more about how you got into this line of
Yeah.
work and what interests you in that?
Well, it was my 7th and 8th grade science teacher, Miss Shep, who's still a customer that I see regularly. She came to my wedding and all that stuff. We did some projects in science class with batteries and wires and lights and made them all work. She also had a little Van de Graaff thing, which is like the static electricity ball where you all grab onto it and you shock your buddies. And so
Nice.
ever since then, that was what I wanted to do. So once I started high school, my path to, post high school life was kind of laid out for me. So I had a little advantage there.
Shout out to Miss Shep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
seriously.
Great. We also got our Thanksgiving turkey from her this year, from her farm. So
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, dude. Do you do that every year?
this was the first time, but we're gonna do it every year.
Like, was it
It was
just killed?
we picked it up
Like
like
alive?
hours.
Wait.
No,
He picked out the turkey.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. No, she said she had a good one for us, but they took it to the butcher shop and we picked it up like 2 hours later and then cooked it the next day.
Did it
So
make-
never
Yeah.
frozen.
Never.
Did it make a difference? Could you tell?
I don't know, it was pretty good, but I feel like Thanksgiving turkey is always
Yeah.
good. So
Well,
you
how
put
did
enough
you cook
gravy
it?
on there. My father-in-law did, so I just had to sit around and
Was
wait
it just
for
like in the oven or did you
Yeah.
like deep fry it?
Nope, this one was just in the oven.
Has
Deep
anyone
fried is
ever had a
crazy.
deep fried turkey?
No.
I
Oh
have,
my
yeah,
gosh, it's
yeah.
so good. Yeah. Do you like eating the skin like off the
Yeah.
turkey?
Yeah,
anyways?
that's the best
Yeah.
part.
Oh my gosh, when you have a deep fried turkey,
Yeah.
eating the skin is like it's like bacon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
Super
phenomenal.
good for you. Too.
bacon.
Yeah, it's like crispy and like juicy and
Yeah.
like tastes like a turkey
Yeah.
skin. It's so good. It's so good. It's like, but you got to get past the fear of like burning your whole
that's the whole
yard
thing.
House
down.
down?
the house
Yeah.
down.
Just, just be, just
I
Google
feel
it.
like that is kind of the stigma around deep frying turkeys.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
everyone thinks you're going
there's
to blow
a
your
simple
house
way
up.
to not do that is just turn the flame off when you put the bird in. I don't know why all those videos they think you have to have
That's
the
really
flame
true.
on.
I don't think
Yeah.
I ever turned it off.
Yeah, just turn it off,
Yeah,
drop
just-
it in, turn it back
I just
on.
manned up, dude. I just manned up and dropped it in. Just
See what
dropped
happens.
it
Worst
in.
that happens is you have a funny video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we
Yeah.
did definitely film it in case something
Yeah.
terrible happens. So I'm going to call Miss Shep for my turkey next year.
Give you her number.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Can you just give it to us on air
She's
right
got
now?
pigs too. I'd have to look it up.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. All 3 people that listen will call her.
Yeah.
So, how did you decide that you wanted to be a business owner beyond, working
Yeah.
as an electrician?
Well, I think probably the same way a lot of people do is everybody, I feel like there's at one point, anyone that's in a trade has that thought where they're like, I'm going to start my business for this
Yeah.
reason or that reason. And it was probably similar to most people. When I think back to like my whole life and there's a few pivotal moments that like dictated what happened next. And when I think back, meeting my wife and, building a life with her, she showed me what life could look like if I tried a little bit harder and did things a little bit differently. And I started to realize that I had an awesome job, but I was working alongside of guys that taught me everything I knew about the trade, but they were in their 50s. I was in my 20s and we were equals, so I knew I wanted more. Just didn't know exactly what that looked like. At the time, I thought the same thing everybody does. I'm going to make more money and have all this time. I'm going to start the
dude.
business, that dream.
Counting it.
And so that was what triggered me to start it. That perspective quickly changed. My why changed, really quickly once I saw what it was really like.
Is there anything you wish you did differently when you started Quality Electric?
I mean, when I think back about it, there's things I wish had gone differently. But if everything didn't happen the way that it did, I don't think I would have made it. Where I'm at now. I still have a long way to go. But all the steps along the journey are what make you put you in a position to be ready to handle what comes next.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Do you feel that when you were in the point where you're like, I want to do this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna when you get crazy,
Yeah.
right? Because you gotta be crazy to go
Oh,
into
yeah.
business for
Yeah.
yourself. Looking back now, does it look like what you thought it was gonna look like?
it's starting to shape up. I mean, initially I thought, you just start your business and, you'll make a bunch of money and all this stuff will start happening.
You're like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons.
Yeah, right. It's easy, right? It's just I don't have to. The money doesn't go through my boss first. It's going to go right to me.
Yeah.
And then you quickly realize right away. I knew what I didn't. I realized how much I didn't know, and so I immediately got to work. Day one of my business officially being operational, I didn't have any work that day, so I was reading and learning and figuring out how to set things up.
What was the sorry?
Please go
What was
ahead.
the biggest pain point when you first established your business? So for me, like it was on the accounting side of things. It was like, crap, I got to learn how to do my books now.
Yeah.
I got to do P&Ls. Like, what was that for you?
That wasn't the initial challenge because at first there's not a whole lot going on. So bookkeeping is super easy at that point. But so for me, it was figuring out how to fill the calendar. When I was planning on making a slower exit from the company I worked for, but it didn't really work out that way. So I was kind of forced into, just starting, on a Monday with nothing to do. So there was that 2 weeks of fear basically, and just, dealing with that sort of anxiety was stressful. I started, when I opened my business bank account, I put $400 in it, and that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't dump out, that's what I started with, was just a few $100 in the bank.
When you first started the business, what was the first thing because we were in a previous podcast, we talked about free marketing tips and stuff like that for when you start your business.
Yeah.
What are some ways you started to market yourself without having to spend in too much money?
Oh, Facebook. It was the Facebook was the first thing I did. And that was actually why I was kind of forced into starting my business quicker than I had expected. I gave my notice to my boss on a Friday, and I had worked for him for 8 years, so leaving that company was tough. He taught me everything I knew, and kind of also I was 19 to 25 when I worked there, so you're becoming a man, turning into a person. They taught me a lot about all that stuff, so leaving that was difficult. And so I gave him my notice. This was in March, and I was going to work for him till summer. I said I'll work all through the summer, and in September I'm going to start this. And then that was how we left it. And then Sunday, April 1st, it was April Fool's. I still remember it was 7:00 in the morning. My phone rings, and it was my boss saying that he saw, because on that Saturday I had published my Facebook page, made it public, started kind of sharing it and stuff. Because I told him how I was going to be doing it, so it wasn't really a surprise. But he saw that, and that was when he decided that it wasn't going to work out. So he called me and just told me it was best if I started, right away. So that was how fast it happened. I went from thinking I had all summer to get, all this stuff in a row to, I dropped the truck off to him that day and, thanked him and everything. We left on good terms. I still talk to him.
I was going to ask that.
But Monday, for those 2 weeks, I had nothing. So getting over that fear of not having any work and still trusting and not just running back was my biggest.
What do you think his
challenge.
concern was with that?
Well,
I know for me, right? Because I used to be GMs of big, HVAC companies and stuff like that. And that's happened where we've seen people do side work or people that want to start their own business. And I think the fear for me was, oh man, are they going to talk to our clients and be like, oh, this is too much. Well, if you want, I can do it on the side for a little cheaper. Do you think that might have been a fear for him? Or
I don't know exactly what it was for him. I know that same situation happened to me in my business in 2023. The same exact thing happened to me, and I unfortunately had to handle it in a similar way. There was a couple differences to how that shook down, but I think maybe part of it was he was upset, that I was leaving. Maybe for him it was an emotional decision, and he was maybe hoping that if he pushed me, that maybe I would, fail may not be the right word, but come back sooner, because he did make me an offer to come back.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could probably go back, tomorrow if I wanted to. He's a great guy and all that stuff. But I think maybe it was a little bit of that. It was an emotional decision for him to do it that way.
Understandable.
Do you have any advice for new business owners?
Yeah, I think early on, you need to figure out what your end game is. You need to know why you're trying to do this, because if your only goal is, money or freedom or anything like that, just look for a different job, because you can make more money working for somebody else and have more freedom than you can as just a solo operator, you know? And so that's kind of what I try to build in my company is I want my guys to see it that, I can make just as much money and have just as much freedom working for him. And you don't have to take on all the risk and all the stress that you can't turn off.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It takes a certain type of person to really start the business and have it and be successful. And how long have you been in business now?
2018. So we're in our seventh year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. You see a lot of businesses, like you were saying earlier, where they do leave.
Yeah.
And 6 months, a year and a half, generally you'll see a lot of people come back to the business that they left because they just weren't able to make it because there's a lot of competition out there.
Oh, for sure.
So how do you feel like you separated yourself from the competition when you started?
I think the thing that's important is making people feel comfortable. You know, they have either they're getting a quote for something they don't know how much it's going to cost, or they have some sort of electrical emergency and a complete stranger showing up to their house. And there's this whole stereotype about construction workers. A lot of people group us in construction workers. We're home service providers. We're not construction workers. So representing ourselves in such a way that makes the customer feel comfortable. So we have, the best warranty of anybody that I know in the market. We'll stand behind anything. And our warranty isn't just something we put on a piece of paper. I'll gladly honor a warranty 5-10 years from now. It'll be an opportunity for us to show that we're here to stand behind what we do. And that's why we tend to be a little bit more expensive than other people, because those cheaper guys, they can put whatever they want on paper, but if they're not priced in such a way that they're going to be here a few years down the road, then that warranty is totally useless.
Yeah, it's like the Tommy Boy scene.
Yeah,
exactly. When he says like, "Hey, I could take a crap in a box and stick a guarantee on here, but you're still just buying a piece of crap," type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that you find that a lot in the industry is that a lot of companies that will overpromise and underdeliver. So it's good to see that there's good companies like yours that are holding ethical values to it, and following up with it too, right? Instead of just it being words. You got to show your actions. And I think that's one thing that separates you for what I've seen, working with you and stuff like that, is like you got a good group of guys and you guys definitely stand behind everything that you offer and your warranties and all of your values too. So maybe we could talk about that for just a second, like what your values are at Quality Electric and why you chose those values.
Yeah. We have a few core values, but the one that I think I'm actually going to shrink them down to pretty much just one, because I think everything can be summarized in one, and that's service. All the other, we have quality. We have kind of like your the same core values a lot of other companies have, but all of it can be summed up in service, because service goes beyond just me providing good service for a customer. It's me as the owner serving my employees. It's us serving the community. It's us doing everything we can to provide the best service in every aspect. So really going above and beyond and making sure that we're doing everything we can to not only complete the job, but leave customers feeling good about what we've done and everything like that. So I think, service is our main focus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You have 206 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
I was just looking that up.
We have 209 if you look at our LSA page. So I wish Google would put them together, but
you got to get those freed up. You can get those reviews taken out of Google jail if you find people saying, "Hey, I left you a review."
I've done it a couple times. Usually every 6 months or so, I'll follow the process. And a few more.
A lot of people don't know they can do that.
Yeah.
How do you get so many people to write reviews?
Well, we usually ask for it. The biggest thing is explaining to people. Usually when you say, I hope you're happy with everything, and you're going to get a link to leave us a review. If you don't mind doing it, it's how most customers find us. 9 times out of 10, they'll say, that's how I found you, is all your reviews on Google. So that kind of implants it. And then right when we leave, they get a text message to leave us a review. And, it's still a lot of people don't realize how important it is for small local businesses to get those reviews. But
yeah, we just talked about that in an earlier podcast, in terms of the review management process and how incredibly important it is for businesses that don't really have anything, like looking for free ways to market their business, is to establish the review side of things.
Yeah.
Because from more of a technical SEO side of things, I guess, really boost the local presence on getting you on the map packs, et cetera. And there's, signaling, and Google loves fresh content.
Yeah.
It's also the way that you respond to reviews, which could, adding select keywords in there, et cetera, can help out. But I'm really happy to hear that you have all that stuff established. And you can kind of, explain a little bit more how important it is for business to have that process in place.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like we have like a sweet spot of reviews. Obviously, I want a ton, endless reviews, but where we have, over 200, that's more than most companies around.
Definitely.
So you have the people that have, like 0 to 20 reviews, and those are the people who's usually friends and family leave them a review when they get started, and they don't push for them later on. And then you have the people that have thousands and thousands of reviews, and then I feel like that kind of diminishes the value of them when there's that many reviews. Sometimes it's a little suspicious or
overwhelming.
Because
you can definitely hire those companies to go in there and do reviews for you. But Google's doing a really good job. Well, cracking down on those people that are purchasing reviews. So you've seen them been getting taken down.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been in business for 7 years, you just said. So, I mean, having that many people leave reviews, obviously you're doing something right.
Yeah.
But do you have any, funny stories from all this time or maybe nightmare stories?
Well, we have a lot of probably the same stories other contractors have with, gross houses and all that stuff.
Tell us one.
Okay, so do you want to hear this? I have a doo-doo story and a bug story.
Oh, dude.
Okay. it's probably not what you think. And it kind of goes back to, actually I have 2 doo-doo stories, but I'm going to skip to this one.
You're going to realize by the time you finish the story, you're like, I have 8 doo-doo stories.
If you want good customer stories, Clay's the one that has them all locked in his brain.
Yeah.
So, but when I was talking about key moments in my career and my life that have changed, the path of Quality Electric and myself, this happens to be one of them because we were working on, before we switched to residential service, we were working on larger projects, and this was a massive 18-month-long project. It was a huge project for a campground. It was way up north. It was freezing cold. We did this job in the winter, so there was no way to get out of the elements. The only way we could warm up was either to sit in the truck or there was a little job trailer that we shared with the excavation contractor and another contractor that was there.
Nice.
The excavation contractors were, Clay calls them wood boogers. They're your typical, North Country guys. The relationship was already starting to diminish a little bit, and this story is what ultimately led to the breakdown of our relationship with that customer that also ended up changing the trajectory of the type of work that we did. But we were going to lunch. Me and 2 of the guys that worked with me at the time were walking towards the trailer to go to lunch. I was leading the way. I opened the door to the trailer, and right on the floor of the trailer was a cardboard box open with a human dookie sitting right on top of it.
No.
Yeah. And it was so the last thing you expect to see in there. So, I slammed the door shut, screamed an expletive, and everybody, the guys who were responsible started laughing. So immediately you knew who it was. And it was that we
Wait, was there any toilet paper or just a dookie?
It almost looked like he did it somewhere else and they moved it in there.
Gotcha.
I'm not quite sure the scenario. I asked him about it later, and he said he's afraid to use porta potties because one time a raccoon was in it and it tickled him while he was
pooping. Can you imagine?
But the guy was a storyteller. You couldn't really, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But that moment, up until then, we had kind of been, coexisting together. And, we had issues with them, but we were still letting it get by. And then at that point, that was the beginning of a series of events that ultimately led to us walking away from that client.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. I can't, we have endless stories with that client and that customer. Yeah.
In multiple dookie transfer stories? Or?
There's only, we did find another doo-doo in a trench somewhere, but we didn't have to touch that one.
That's good.
But yeah, no.
Oh, you had to touch the one that was in the trailer?
We didn't have to touch the other. I meant we didn't have to get that. We didn't have to work in that area.
Gotcha. All right. Oh man.
But we didn't eat lunch in the trailer. I
double transfer.
Called, and the next day we got our own job trailer, and nobody used it but us.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Do you maybe have any more uplifting stories or?
No.
That was actually the one and only job.
That's my only story. No, the whole thing has been good. I've had a lot of good times, especially with the guys I have now. There's a lot of buzzwords that get thrown around there, like culture and stuff like that. And I can honestly say that the culture that we have at Quality Electric is awesome, and we all get along so good. So even you guys came out and filmed our holiday party, and we went to the indoor golfing range. That's genuine. We really have a lot of fun when we all hang out together.
Thanks for bringing us.
Yeah.
Had a blast showing you all up.
Yeah. Well, I was letting you look very good.
Thanks, man.
I didn't want to hurt your ego.
I appreciate that. No, that's super kind of you.
Yeah.
That's super kind. Thank you so much.
Thoughtful. Good thing I wasn't there.
Yeah. I was just going to ask something too.
Yeah.
What about
I can't remember.
What about diving into more about the employees and culture?
Yeah.
Right. So like, talk a little bit more about how you are keeping the employees there. You mentioned, financially and freedom kind of promising, but is there more to that in terms of the culture that you have or what it takes to keep really good employees?
Yeah.
In your business?
Well, I think not losing sight of all those, forks in the road that have got me here, what led to those forks. So why did I want to leave, the company that I worked for before? What were the things that led up to that? And, recognizing that and trying to build a company where my guys don't have to experience that. And you hear a lot of the same stuff from the people that we interview, electricians that come and they're being underappreciated and usually underpaid and all those different things, and just not letting it get to the point where they're unhappy and looking. You can't keep everybody forever, but all you can do is treat them the best you can while they're here. And I think that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that I've worked at HVAC companies like my whole career, right?
Yeah.
So my question to you as an electrician is, how come you guys never pick up after yourselves? You're always leaving, clips of wiring everywhere.
Did you tell him about Charlotte? Did you tell him? No. Okay. We filmed a funny little video about that at our last shoot, but I won't spoil it. But it's I don't know. I think the stereotype comes from going back to what I said earlier, the construction electrician, those type of electricians working on new construction houses probably don't sweep up every day. But the problem is, our scraps are so colorful, they stick out a lot more. So if we have a couple scraps of wires, you're going to notice that. They'll completely ignore the pile of sheetrock dust or insulation or wood trimmings, and they'll just see that. But I can tell you that we have drop cloths, brooms, and battery vacuums on all the trucks.
What we could say about you is you are breaking the mold.
That's right.
You are breaking the mold of that.
Breaking the mold with high quality
stereotype of drinking White Claws and leaving clippings of wire
IPAs,
everywhere.
Only IPAs.
Oh gosh.
Well, I just have one more question before we close out. Do you have a motivational quote you can leave everyone with?
Drives you, bro.
So this one I think came from, there's a group when I first started in business. There's this Facebook group. It's also a business coaching group. I think it's called the Contractor Fight. And some of their quotes are a little bit intense and powerful. But one of the ones that I still remember is that winners find a way and losers find an excuse. The path of business ownership is very challenging. And like I said at the beginning, knowing why you're doing what you're doing and having an end in sight, so you know that I'm getting up at 4:00 in the morning every day because this is going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
You'll get beat down along the way. Every week is a new challenge, and you just need to find a way to overcome it and learn from all that stuff. Things don't happen to you; they happen for you. There's another one. You can add that.
Like it.
So every negative thing that happens, you need to twist it around and figure out how to learn from it, and either not let it happen again or just move on from it.
Love it, dude. Absolutely love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been Breaking the Mold with Julia, Matt, and Logan, Mighty Media, and Eric Hope from Quality Electric. If you want to see that YouTube clip he was talking about, go ahead and follow Quality Electric NH on YouTube. Again, at Quality Electric NH. Thank you again, guys. See you
Thank you, guys.
time.
Thanks, brother.